Well, good morning, everybody. This is a Smart Networker. I'm Dave Rolfe, and it's March 27th, and welcome to the call. So a number of things today to get the day off. We just had a Seiko Kai, which is a really nice event, and we had some distributors that showed that we're having some great success, and that was all wonderful. And we got a new product, which was also wonderful. And we also got some new tweaks that are going to happen to our order system, back office, information. So progress is being made, and all in an effort to allow us to better communicate with what we have with other people. And there is no question that in our society today, there are enough challenges to deal with that will keep us busy for a long time. Now, I don't have anything prescribed today specifically to talk about. I'm almost finished. Well, I shouldn't say almost finished, but this process of writing a book and doing a training program, both in English and Spanish, as you could probably imagine, contains a ton of work. And I'm going around the clock because the kickoff of this is mid-April. And again, the passion and the purpose of this is to provide the information that is required to, have the success that's available. And in my years of doing the business, and in my years of studying and learning and talking to a gazillion people, it was very apparent what was working and what wasn't. And it was very apparent what you needed to do and what you didn't need to do. And as I mentioned in last week's Zoom, that the realization I had, and it was of late that I had this realization, was that the skills that I used to become successful in network marketing didn't come from network marketing. They came from other businesses that I was involved with, and life, and learning life, and growing up, and being a teenager, and finding out about females and all of that good stuff. Those life lessons enabled me to evaluate what needed to be done, so that when I looked at a circumstance or situation, it was then I had information to evaluate. Many times in talking with a new distributor, it's like talking to a deer in the headlights, because they have no reference as to what you're talking about. And that was one of the major ahas I had early on, was the language by which we communicate is very, very important. And I also found from studying in other areas that the misunderstood word is the culprit of no production. So if there's no production, then there's something not understood. If it's completely understood, then it's easy, because what we do is easy. We just talk to people. We don't have to do anything else. We're not going into a surgery and we have to open them up with knives and sew them up and all that sort of stuff, take out stuff, put in stuff. We don't do that. All we do is talk. But it's what and how we talk, what we talk about, how we talk about, all those kind of things that becomes the issue. And then I've talked about this a gazillion times, but the next major aha was, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. This was probably, the most significant piece of information I gained for myself, because what I observe again is, and I say this in a generality, you're all trying to sell this thing, and it doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, you can't sell what we have. And it's a funny thing to say, because we're a sales and organization, and that's all we do is we move product. We're a distribution network. Company puts out products, we move it. And we move it in one of two ways. We move it either by a customer base, and customers are people that benefit from the product. Now, the interesting scenario there is the need for the product, and so the way to do this is really fascinating. Is look at your own life, what you use and what you need and what you want. And when you take a look at those things, then look at how you act and what you do in order to get them. I'm a coffee buff, so I love coffee. And so I have an Amazon account. And so my Amazon account's on auto ship, and every 4 weeks I get a shipment of my coffee. And it's like clockwork. So because I like my coffee, I'm going to make sure that that activity gets done so that I get that result. Now, on the other side, my wife isn't a coffee buff. Now, she'll drink coffee, but she's more a tea person. So rather than coffee, she'll go after tea. So if I'm trying to sell her coffee, it ain't going to work. She's not interested in coffee. She's interested in tea. So I realized that an important aspect of what we do is based on understanding who we're talking with. And so there's a little formula that you can utilize. So the first step was you need somebody to talk to. And amazingly enough, for some reason, this seems to be hard for some people to do. But there's 8 billion people on this planet. So it shouldn't be that difficult to find somebody to talk to. As a matter of fact, all you have to do is walk out your door and you got a neighbor on both sides, somebody across the street, you got, a mall. I remember I was doing Herbalife, and it was in the 80s. And of course, the owner of that company was a guy by the name of Mark Hughes, and very aggressive man. And I got a couple of funny stories about that one, but I lived in Southern California. I lived in the San Fernando Valley, and I was driving over a hill from the San Fernando Valley into an area called Century City, Beverly Hills, on the other side of the Santa Monica or the mountain range that they had at that time. And anyway, I had a bumper sticker on my car, and the bumper sticker said, "Lose weight now, ask me how." And I was driving at that time a new car that had just come out. It was a 240Z by Nissan. It was their sports car model. It was one of the first, or maybe it was a 280. It was one of the first ones. Anyway, so I'm driving over the hill, and all of a sudden there's a car behind me honking their horn, blasting their horn, honking it. So I'm saying, oh boy, I better pull over. And I pull over and I get out of my car to see what this guy's all about. And out of the other car, it was a Mercedes, was Ernest Borgnine. Now, Ernest Borgnine, as most know, is a famous actor. He did a number of shows, McHale's Navy, the Poseidon Event, et cetera, et cetera. And he says to me, "Does that work?" And I said to him, "Yeah, it does." And he said, "Here's my number. Call my office tomorrow. I need to lose some weight." Anyway, I end up in his house next couple of days and presented him with the program and got him on the product. And and it was amazing. And the moral of that story was beauty's in the eye of the beholder. It's what he saw and what he wanted and what he needed that was important for the whole thing to start. I would have never called up Ernest Borgnine and say, "Hey, do you want to lose weight now and go on Herbalife product?" It was what he did. So step one is you have to find somebody to talk to. Step two is you have to make yourself known. Now, in the sense of another area of life that I worked in where I made myself known was in this oil and gas investment program for the federal government. And, I would be given these lists of names, hundreds of names on cards that we got from Dun & Bradstreet. And the object of that process was to call these folks up and say, "Hi, I'm Dave Rolfe. I'm with Leland Capital. We represent the federal government's oil and gas lease program." Now, I'm making myself known. I'm talking about what I am all about. And the next question was to find out if they would be interested in what they need and want related to what I'm talking about. Now, this is very important because this is a key to how and what you communicate. So let's look at another example. Let's say you're an attorney. So you're an attorney, you have an office, you hang your shingle, and by hanging your shingle, you put up your nameplate, John Jones, attorney at law, specializing in, let's say it's contract law. So then you put down that, so if I'm interested in doing a contract or having contract evaluated or disputed, then I'm not going to go to a divorce attorney. I'm going to go to a contract attorney because they specialize in that information. So if I'm looking for that, that's what I'm going to look for. It's like if we look at Google search and you have a thought or an idea or a subject that you want to talk about, you type in the Google search information, I want to find out about blah, 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 blah. Well, understand in today's world, every time you mention our company name to a person that's brand new to you, guess what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to go home and type in their computer that name and do a Google search. Because that's the way we do things today. It's just part of what we do. It's how so you got to get used to that. And that reminds me of something else to talk about on the WhatsApp thread. But anyway, so what I realized very early on, that if I talked about certain subjects, I would run into people that also were interested in those same certain subjects. Fascinating. I mean, really fascinating. So if I was at a party and I was meeting somebody I hadn't met for some time and I said golf, oh yeah, I love to golf, we should go out there. Why? Because I know what golfers do. Golfers love to play golf. So if they find somebody else that wants to play golf, then they're out there playing golf because it's a great thing for those that love to play golf. And if you don't like to play golf, then golf is a complete waste of time and energy to you. I mean, it's like you watch it on Saturday or Sunday on the television, and here's these guys hitting balls, little white ball. They hit it, goes 300 yards down the field, and then they put it in a little hole. And everybody's cheering because they put the ball in the hole. And you look at that as if you're a non-golfer and say, what the heck are they so damned excited about? Because they understand what the game is. So they play the game. They're involved in the game. They're excited about the game. They're excited about what happens. They have their mentors and their celebrities that they follow and so on and so forth. But from the idea of our business and communicating, what I found out was that if I started to talk about a subject to somebody that was also interested in the same subject, then lo and behold, a conversation would go on. Wow. I mean, talk about a revelation. Talk about a revelation, I should say. Was that if I talked to somebody else that had the same thoughts and same ideas, same understanding, same desires, same wants, same needs, all of that I did, oh my God, we could talk forever. Now, at the same time, I also learned that if I talked to somebody that didn't have the same interests, it went nowhere. Absolutely went nowhere. And so in the beginning, I talked to a ton of people that were not on the same page as me, and nothing much happened. Wow. Interesting. And so what I realized at that point in time was, well, what did I need? What did I want? What was I going after? What was I trying to accomplish as a result of doing this business? And I realized that, okay, I'm a family guy. I need to put food on the table. My budget's $8,000 a month, and I've got to do something that generates $8,000 a month. Now, I'd been in that situation many times but not in network marketing, but in other businesses where I was a commission salesperson. So I had to produce and create sales in order to get the commissions. So I knew that it took work. I knew that I had to qualify. I knew that I had to talk to people. I knew that I had to sift through many to find those that would. I mean, let's face it. If every time you played football, you won the Super Bowl, it wouldn't be much fun. It's more fun when you have competition. It's more fun when there's something to overcome. I mean, man, I remember I got to Royal Diamond in 1998. I was on Kansas City. They had live fireworks on the stage going off. And you know, thousands of people in the crowd cheering that I went Royal Diamond. I got my jacket, I got my ring, I got my pin, all of those kind of things. And I'm on a cell phone, and at that time talking to my wife who was in Hawaii with her mother. Wow. Now, she wasn't interested in doing network marketing, but she was interested in me and what I did. Big difference there. So again, from the standpoint of realizing how to make this work, the key was making myself known and then talking about what I needed to attract attention of other people that needed the same thing. So I came up with this line that I used forever in my career. Would you be interested in making an extra $5,000 or $10,000 a month? Now, the reason why I asked that question was not necessarily that they wanted to make $5,000 or $10,000 a month. What I wanted to know if that topic was of interest and how quickly did they answer the question. Because with experience, I saw that when people hemmed and hawed, well, you know, maybe, yeah, maybe I will, maybe I won't, maybe I'll go, maybe I won't, maybe I'll get that one, maybe I won't, maybe I'll have that, maybe I'll don't, those people never went anywhere. The people that went places were people that made quick decisions. Now, not all the decisions that we make are super positive. Sometimes we make some quick decisions that get us into trouble. But that's fine. That's the learning experience. But what I found in this business was this next little gem. And this next little gem was that if you have a problem, I don't care what the problem is, and you can't find a solution, you're going to do a number of things with that problem. One of them, if you can't find a solution, you're going to try and bury it and hide it. Not confront it, not look at it, not deal with it, because you don't have an answer to it. The other is you're going to ignore it and try and do something else. And then, you know, but there's another thing you can do. You can, you know, look for a solution. Well, here's what I found out, because it happened to me. And it happened to everybody else that I talked to that I got involved with the business. Was when you who have a problem that is yet to be resolved, and that problem could be a situation in life, it could be a desire, it could be a need, it could be a want, a situation, a circumstance, and somebody comes along with a potential solution, and you think that that solution is going to help you, guess what you do? You engage in a conversation because you want to know. You want to find out. You're curious. We're curious beings. We love curiosity. We love mysteries. We love challenges. And the game is to overcome these things. So what I started to look at was that, okay, if I found somebody else who was in the same boat that I was, who liked the same stuff, who wanted the same things, then the conversation existed. And here's where the rubber meets the road. The whole object of this is to get into a meaningful conversation to understand what to do here to make this work. That's the whole deal. I mean, okay, I'm finishing up this, and the final exercise that I'm working on is an interesting exercise that I came to understand and see you of what we have here. And that's really important. And what I came to understand in this area was what we do is no different than anybody else in the world. We're all doing the same thing. Now, this may sound funny, we're all trading time for money. No matter what you do, you put in time, you get money. The key is how smart are you about what you do? And of course, what we have is a technology, and the technology is in the structure of how our business compensates you, like no other in the world. And it's a unique system because it operates on two things. One, it operates on an individual's performance and production, and it operates on how well you help somebody to produce and perform. And it can grow into multiple generations. One of my famous stories was Dr. Roger Boger, who was on my 25th level. And because of actions of other people above him who left the business, he rolled up to my second level. Well, you know, you're not supposed to talk about the amount of money that's made, but I'm telling you, it was serious money from one man and his wife and what he did. And that was the other interesting aspect of this business is it's not what you do. It's what somebody else does that makes the money. So a customer buys your product, then you make a commission. But if no customers buy your product, there's no commission. If a distributor goes into work and develops a business, then you can earn an override. If they don't, you don't make any money. Now, I'm a stickler for this one, but I learned very, very early on that rank means absolutely nothing unless you have a structure and an organization that compensates you for that rank. And this is something that you'll have to deal with yourself. I'm not going to spend any time on here, but this was something very, very important. So in the sense of building this business, then we have an opportunity, and I've been doing this for a long time, and I've got the results of this for a long time. I've been on a residual income for 32 and a half years. That's a long time to have a residual income. As an author and a book writer, I know that I got a residual from writing my book. I know from producing a movie that there's a residual from creating a movie. I know that from making an investment, if you make the right investments, you can get a residual from the investments that continue to pay you for time. But this business has been the most lucrative of all the deals that I've done. But they all work the same way. And that's the fascinating part. We aren't different than anybody else. We're exactly the same. And we operate the same way, and we all use the same thing that's called communication. So the key to success here is your ability to communicate what you have to somebody else so that they see and understand it, can think with it, and then hopefully apply it to their situation. So I don't care what job you want to look at, but the job requires that you do something. And if you do it, then the person that hired you pays you. Simple. They call that what? The M1 strategy or something like that. So from the standpoint of, we do the exact same thing. You hired yourself. So you go and tell yourself what to do, you go do it, and you create the result that you're supposed to create as a result of what you do, then you get a paycheck. Fascinating. Fascinating how similar that is to everything else. Now, you have the the M2 strategy, which is the investment. You as an investor invest in, in your business. Now, for me, that interpretation was finding somebody to help build the business. So I'm investing my time with that person to help them become successful. And here's the prize. Here's the prize, is you get a lifetime income based on their production. Now, I was talking with a distributor the other day, and I have a customer. He talked about, I don't know, the couple of Seiko Kais before. He's been an auto ship for 32 years in my organization, Joe Maxwell. Well, I calculated out, just, basically rough calculation, that auto ship customer was worth $18,000 to me. One customer over 32 years. But if you think about that one interaction with that man in 1990, I think it was 91, created a 32-year customer that generated a residual income of $18,000. Well, let's multiply that by 1,000. But then on the other side of the coin, I had some distributors that have been in the business now for the same period of time, but the difference in the income to me is like night and day. And that's not just the 18,000, it's like, 10 or 12 million. So it's like, oh my God, what a difference. And so I looked at that aspect of things of, okay, who should I be talking to here? What makes more sense? And that opened the door to the distributor side, which just opens up another question and thought process for everybody here. I noticed on WhatsApp, people are clamoring for testimonies. And somebody found some old testimonies from the past. And I was listening to this thread and watching this thread and saying, when you go after distributors, that subject never comes up. Period. Just doesn't come up. And I've a number of things that are very interesting about this. One, distributors always had better results and realize that they need to understand the product quickly, and or if they're going to talk about the product to somebody else, so they would get the benefit. We know the product gives us benefits. We know that if you drink the water, you're going to do better. We know if you sleep on a sleep system, you're going to do better. You know, if you have air challenges and use the air, you're going to have results. It just happens. We've been doing that. Nikken has great products. How does this business work? It works on word of mouth. Now, when you're behind the closed door and there's nobody listening, I can't tell you what you to say or not say. I can't tell you what stories to tell or not tell. But when you're in the broad public, there are certain things you just can't do because that's the rule of the game. You follow my drift here. Now, the next thing that I saw was that if a distributor really wanted to make this work for their benefit, then, man, okay, how does it work? What do I have to do here? Where do I go? It's not, oh, I need to hear a testimony that, no, it didn't that never happened. It was fascinating, just fascinating. So if you can, don't feed into that WhatsApp of, testimonies and all that sort of stuff. It go the other route. And because again, it just go the other route. All right, let's move on. So step number one, you need somebody to talk to. Step number two, you need to make yourself known. Step number three, you got to find out what they need or want. Guess what step number four is? You got to produce it. Wow. You got to produce it. You got to create it. You got to make it. So this then was the interesting part, was and by observation. So when I built, I sponsored 6 key people. All of them made it. And they all made it because of a number of issues, but one, we were on the same page. So we talked the same language, we planned. Number 2, they wanted what they wanted. So they were willing to do what was after. Number 3, they were trained. And what I've observed over the past 5 or 6 years, it's the lack of the ability to communicate that's causing all the problems. It's nothing else. It's really nothing else. Nothing. People still need to work. I have millennial children, and I have I'm a baby boomer, and I have Gen X, and I've got, relatives that have various ages, and everybody's still doing the same thing. They still have to go to work. Now, for those families that are wealthy and are passing on wealth, a lot of them still require their kids go to work. Some of them don't. And some of them are finding their own way, and they're doing traditional business like anything else. My daughter's in property management. My son is a grip in Hollywood doing commercials. But here's the important piece. They're doing things that they need to do one thing, put those green pieces of paper in the bank and in their pockets so that they can buy other things. That's not changed anywhere. That's never changed. That's our system. If you want something, you got to give something to get it. Now, being in the public arena, in the stock market, and doing public companies and investing, and with my wife who's in the wealth management arena, that marketplace is going through some ups and downs. And that's because of stabilities of governments and currencies and politics and all that other stuff. But people are still calling her and sending her money to invest every single day. That doesn't stop either. That hasn't changed. What's changing is how they get the job done. What's changing is how they communicate about what's going on. What's changing is, again, the environment that's out there. So our job is not to be the effect of the environment, but to control the environment. So again, we were doing this new Powerhouse program, and I said I want to be one of the first to do the Powerhouse, which I wasn't, but that was my objective. And I found a distributor, and that I put an ad and got a distributor, and I'm now helping her. So my focus has changed on that. And what I'm finding out with dealing with her is the same things that I dealt with, just in a different time frame. Her needs and desires are basically in alignment with what my needs and desires were. Her willingness to learn, her willingness to do, her willingness to understand, same as mine. So what's really fascinating about that is the conversations and the growth. And, the plan was that this month should go silver, but we changed that plan for education. So we're working more on education, and I'm dealing with another country, so it's changed it, but it's going to happen soon. But it's not going to happen with just volume, it's going to happen with people. And this was the understanding that I gained about structure. In that structure is not volume. So there was an association, rank volume. No, it's rank structure. Volume is only a necessary thing for understanding what you're going to earn for what you do. But if you don't have the structure, then it's hard to maintain the volume. You can reach the volume easily. You can have those initial bursts. God, I remember once, this is a funny story, Julie Tara had this guy by the name of Jack Black in Ireland. And Jack Black was a motivational guy. And I remember in 1 month, I think that they signed up like 180 or 200 executives. 1 month. One person. Jack Black, he signed up that many people as executives. Now, total unusual circumstance. I mean, here's a guru that, you know, took his guru business and because he said jump, they all jumped. Now, does everybody have that? No. So it's a story that you couldn't, it was hard to tell other people because it was unrealistic and it would be hard to duplicate. I think Michael had a guy by the name of Marty Jeffries that did something similar, but rare, not a normal everyday thing. And then again, this is another problem that we have, is we put the exceptions to the rule on the stage versus the understanding of what to do on the stage. So in looking at these type of situations and looking at what we have, the key to what we have is this thing called structure. So if, for example, you're going to build to gold, we know that right now the volume requirement to go gold is 15,000 points. But what's the structure position there? What should you have structurally to make sure that you continue to make 15,000 points a month? And that's people. And that's other ranked distributors. So you need silvers, you need you need lots of silvers, and you need them not only in the first level, but the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth and the sixth. Because the benefit of gold is to be paid 3 levels of leadership below you. So if you don't have leaders on your first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth level, then what's the point of being a gold? Because there's nothing in the prize, in the title. Can't spend it, can't do anything with it. You can't march around, and outside of Nikan, it means absolutely nothing. But if you're a gold and you're making $8,000 a month, now you're walking around with this big stick. And that's very attractive. So just think about that in the sense of what we have now. And we're burning up a lot of time here. But in the concept of how we communicate, one of the things that you want to really get your wits around is when you're communicating to somebody else, number one, if you said gold, they don't have a clue what gold means. So you have to understand that you need to be able to convert our language into their language or create an understanding of our language for them to get it. I mean, it's really that important, because if you say words that they don't understand, they go to sleep. The literacy rate in our country is less than 50%. Why do you think that happens? Because they don't teach kids how to look up words they don't understand. Simple. We don't do simple things as a culture. We try and make them as difficult as possible, but the solutions are simple. Just like the solutions in our business are simple. They're not hard. So if you have somebody over here that really needs something, and you can show them exactly everything that they need to know, and they get it and understand it, and then you help them perform, that's how it works. And that's all I ever did. I didn't do anything different. I didn't have any magical spoon or any silver spoon or any of those things. It was just old-fashioned hard work. Talk to as many people as I possibly could, find those that had a need for what I had and wanted, and then together we'd collaborate and create a plan and go to work. And then when you understand the structure, how the structure works. So you have a first level person who has a second, who has a third, has a fourth, has a fifth, and then you got the guy down on the 6th level that's hitting it out of the ballpark. What do you think those other 5 guys are doing? They're dancing around like mad mothers because they're so excited of what's going on below them. And the first thing I observed there was that if there's nothing going on below you, life's miserable in this business. The excitement is when somebody else is doing something. Ha, fascinating. Just fascinating. So if you have a team and you have a leader of a team, I studied corporations and businesses and saw those that expanded and grew, and they were made up of teams. Well, that's what we're made up of, teams. No different. And the guy at the top who has all the teams underneath them is making sure they're coordinating and doing what those teams are supposed to be done. And it's usually the head of the team that's the most important guy to talk to. Well, it's the same as what we do. Now, if you had but the benefit of what we have is the most unique. As a Royal Diamond, you get paid up to 6 generations of leaders that are qualified in your structure below you. You want to do this exercise. So if you had 3 people on your first level and they each got 3, you'd have 9 on your second. And if they each had 3, you'd have 27 on your third. And if they each had 3, you'd have 81 on your fourth. And if they each had 3, I think you have 243 on your fifth. And if they each had 3, you got 729 on your fifth. But the development of your, or that sixth, the development of your seventh, you'd also earn on. So if again, that's 2,100 people down there on the 7th. Now, once I saw that, I said, there's my Coca-Cola machine on every corner of every street. It was the same image. It was the same picture. It was the same understanding. Was just, oh, okay, so now how do I get there? Well, I get there by finding the first 3. But not only just finding them, and again, another big mistake, people find people and then they sit back and say, well, what are they going to do? No, it's you help them build. It's your team, it's your organization, it's your business, it's your income. So if they're non-productive over time, then that's a waste of time. That's a complete waste of time. But if you can get somebody to produce and win and develop an income, I discovered something else. In our business, we have a hook just like corporate America and a job. So if you know, as in most of you have had jobs, that you had to work first for at least 1 to 2 weeks before they pay you. Ha! What a hook that one is. So you work and then they pay you. You work and then they pay you. You work and then they pay you. What a system. So you don't work, they don't pay you. Well, we have a hook too. And our hook is called the need to qualify. You qualify, you get paid. You qualify and you have volume, you get paid seriously. You qualify and you have tons of volume, you make a lot of money. You don't qualify, you don't get paid. Same deal. What's qualifying then? How do you define qualifying? Well, you can define qualifying as going to work. It's an activity. It's getting people to buy your products and getting distributors to sign up and buy their products and build their business. And in that process, you create volume. And according to the rules of your plan, you'll then either be qualified or not. If you're qualified, you get paid. So as a Royal Diamond, you need to do 300,000 points a month and some other things to be qualified to get paid to the 6th level. But if you don't have anybody on the 6th level, then you don't have to worry about being qualified for the 6th level. See, it's really interesting. So as a diamond, you're qualified to be paid to the 5th level. So if you've got nobody on the 5th level producing to create volume, then what's the prize? Hoping that you get there? No. See, that's then it become, here's another thing that I saw too, was premature arrival. So sometimes people arrive at their position too quickly and unearned. So they've reached the prize, but the prize doesn't give them what the prize says it's supposed to give them. So what happens there is we end up with what's called a failed purpose. And I've watched this for 32 years in this business and another 45 in others. Because it's the prize that's important. It's the journey. It's getting there. So if you do something and there's no prize, it's like, why'd I do that? What was the benefit of doing that? Now, it may not hit you like that right away, but after a period of time, I watched this. People quit because they reached the prize and didn't get what they were supposed to get or what they thought they would get. So you want to really understand the benefit of what we have. You really want to understand our structure. Now, here's where it really is all going to come together. When the person on the other side truly understands what we've got, and they truly see that what they put in here is far more rewarding over time than anything else, you have a potential of a new consultant in your business. Will everybody see that? No. Will everybody do that? No. But if you talk to enough people, those that will join your business. And how many do you need to make this really work? 3 maybe at the most? 2 in today's world? Anyway, hope that helps you with your understanding of what you have. And I hope that helps you with what you need to learn to communicate. Now, what's coming next for you in what I'm producing are all the answers. But not only for you, but for anybody else that picks up the book. And what I did was I tested this information with the raw public first. And it's grabbing. People are reading it, wanting to play. So there's going to be a way for you to participate so you can use it as a tool as well. That'll all be announced in the coming future. Anyway, I'll end the recording, and then if there's any Q&A, we'll go to that and answer your questions.